Hello guys, this Science of Sport video is part of BTEC National Sport and Exercise Sciences course, and in particular we're introducing the Unit 6 Coaching for Performance and Fitness. So this little video just gives a few tasks and a few insights and a sense of the sorts of things that this coaching unit might need to cover or might need you to reflect upon. Obviously, this video needs to be used in conjunction with other instructions that you'll be given in terms of your lessons and your independent study. But anyway, let's make a start. So, Roy Keane here is quoted as saying, "I don't believe skill was or ever will be the result of coaches. It's a result of a love affair between a child and the ball." So that kind of demeans or devalues any sense that the coach has the hugest impact on performance or how players might develop. In sort of slight contrast, Sir Alex Ferguson has also quoted something with a slightly different perspective. So he said the keynote as it was for Sir Alex Ferguson at Manchester United is man management, he says. At the end, human skills are going to be the most important. And then we're talking about technology, machines, data. They don't feel anything. They're like furniture. We are talking about the real human. We need to breathe. We need to feel the love. We need emotion. Football is a contest of emotion. If we forget that, we're going to kill the game. And that, whilst it doesn't sort of directly say the coach is essential, it certainly suggests that man management and managing the human element of performance is really key. And the coach, potentially has really key roles in doing those things. So the first task I'd like you to do is to reflect upon these statements and conclude whether you agree or disagree. And whichever it is, I'd like you to have a rationale behind your thoughts. So just pause the video, have a look at these and think through your perspective. Where do you stand in relation to these statements? Okay, so those things will be discussed in class. The next task for you to do is to think about your own coaching experiences, and those experiences might be when you were being coached by a teacher, by a specific sport coach, or whether you've been a coach yourself and reflect upon your experiences being the leader in that context. So for this task, what you need to do is essentially draw the shape of a person and just literally bullet point or arrow out what you think the skills and qualities of a good coach or should be, or what they should be like, or the skills that they should have. So sort of no right or wrong. It's your own subjective opinion at this point, ready for discussion in later sessions. But what you do need to be to be able to explain why you think these. So why you think something is important, and if where possible, have an example in your mind that you can relay. I also want you to be able to explain the consequences of coaches not possessing these skills or qualities. What impact does that have on them as the professional or the participants as the learners? And be able to explain that with example scenarios. They can be real or they can be sort of fictional, if you like. So what are the skills and qualities you think make a good coach, with examples? And if coaches don't possess or have those skills or qualities, what's the negative consequence of that? So why is it good? Why are they good? And why might they be problematic? And always trying to link it to your own examples as much as possible.
We're in Dallas, USA, taking an in-depth look at the training regime of an up-and-coming sprinter. Michael Johnson Performance has solidified itself as one of the world's foremost sports training facilities. As its reputation grows, international athletes are increasingly drawn to the center for its state-of-the-art technology and training techniques. 19-year-old sprinter Talal Al-Alami of the UAE is the latest to undergo an intensive program of focused training at the center as he looks to qualify and represent his nation at future Olympic Games.
The way I trained in Dubai was very different than the training over here. In the gym sessions, I'd go and lift weights. On the track, I'd go and run. There was not much technology put inside, so we couldn't see the little problems that I was having. And over here, it's completely different.
With Talal, he's been trained very well, but I think that he's missed some of the key developmental windows of adaptation throughout the years. And so we're kind of going back, doing a deep dive on all these areas, kind of looking under the hood and seeing what are we missing.
They analyze me like I'm a robot, and they're trying to fix those little errors.
To ensure each program is built precisely to individual needs, Michael Johnson Performance conducts an evaluation of each athlete before they begin their training. This testing period is intense, looking at every single detail which could be affecting an individual's performance.
Professional and elite athletes that come to Michael Johnson Performance and look to us to help them with their careers, the first thing we do is take those athletes through a full assessment and evaluation, which allows us to then find those areas of opportunity for them to improve. And then we build a program based on shoring up those areas that we found where there are weaknesses or areas of opportunity, so that that athlete then is able to perform at their very best.
The first one, that lateral pogos, balls of the feet nice and bouncy, snap off the turf.
When I first arrived, they thoroughly tested my running, my power output, how high I can jump, my ground contact times, and they analyzed every step that I took on the track.
We saw a huge asymmetry between his right and his left hip separation. And so when he has one leg extended and one leg flexed, the difference between his hips were certain degrees. And when he went to the other side, it was a little bit smaller. Then he was big, then he was small, then he was big. And so most people would then, there's got to be something wrong with his hips. But then you go up to his upper body and his arms. One arm is big, one arm is small. One arm is big, one arm is small. The arms were off. That was taking the legs off, essentially. And so we went in, we started stretching the shoulder and the chest and all these things. What do you know? Just by stretching that, now the hips evened out. And so now we've made him a more symmetrical athlete just by stretching the shoulder.
That's why I came here, so we can work on those little problems, to fix the little problems and improve by a lot.
Despite leaping advances in technology, making it possible to concentrate on the smallest of details, one of the most important aspects of any athlete's training remains the relationship between the athlete and their coach.
I think the rapport with the athlete is extremely important. It doesn't matter how much, there's an old saying, it doesn't matter how much knowledge you have, an athlete's not going to respect or trust you until they know how much you care about them. And so showing that you care about that athlete, you gain their trust, gain their respect. Now they're going to buy into your program. It can be the best program in the world, but if your athlete's not bought in, it's not going to help you as a coach or the athlete.
I still take him as a friend in a way, but I do not want to disappoint him at all. You need to like your coach to improve. If you're going to training and you're like, oh, do I have to see him again? Then you're not going to do well. You need to go into training with a positive attitude every single day. That's how you improve. You try your best in training and you improve your numbers every single week.
Good, no torso.
So that video clip I really like because it incorporates a lot of factors that the coach can offer the athletes, but also a sense of what the athlete's perspective is in terms of the dynamics with the coach. So again, reflect upon what came out through that video clip and be prepared to explain it in the session. Your next task is to watch 4 videos. The links are embedded here, but they're obviously available to you in the instructions for your independent study. And again, watch these short clips and reflect upon what you think about them. It shows a variety of styles, of interactions of coaches and perspectives of coaches, and in particular one of them is the dynamic between Jess Ennis and her coach. All really interesting watches. Take the time to watch them. Some of them are a couple of minutes, some of them, one is slightly longer, but again, make some annotations, some notes, and be prepared to discuss those in your session. Okay, so this whole coaching unit is going to be orientated around, the 3 assignments are going to be orientated around you applying for and evidencing your competence applying for a job at college. And in order to do that, we need to firstly set out in effect an advertisement for the role that you're going to be applying for, or showing the evidence of how brilliant you are in relation to what college wants in a multi-sports coach. So let's have a look at some of the components of an advert for a job. So I'm sure all heard of a physiotherapist. There are different grades. This was an advert, or some of the content of an advert, for a grade 5 physiotherapist. That's quite a decent standard physiotherapist. So first thing to appreciate is there's a job specification and a person specification. The job spec, or description you might have it written as well, the job element of it is what will you be doing, what will your roles and responsibilities be? And if you just pause the video and have a look here, that's clearly the sort of thing you would expect the role of a physiotherapist to be. However, the right hand side here, the person spec or the person description, is more who they need you to be, who they want you to be. And you may see in some job adverts some of these characteristics being described as being essential and some as being desirable. Obviously, the essential ones are the things you must have in order to bother applying for this post. And the desirable ones are things they would prefer you to have if possible, but if you haven't got it, you know, it's not the end of the world, possibly. It's just their preference. So the person spec things might incorporate qualifications, the experiences they want you to have had, or the skills and the qualities of who they want you to be. So again, let's look at a slightly different one. Here's a job advert for a paddle sports instructor at a really big sport holiday company called Nielsen. And they want somebody who's going to be beach manager, accountable to the managers in the locations. The location is likely to be somewhere in Europe, a beach resort, where basically your customers, your clients, are people who've paid for this holiday to be instructed by you. So again, slightly different to the physio, but on the left are the specific descriptions of what the job requires you to do. And on the right are the person descriptions of who they want you to be, what qualifications they'd prefer you to have or need you to have, the experience they'd prefer you to have or like you to have, and then of course the who. Who do you need to be working with this kind of a client? So this unit, the Unit 6 coaching unit, is going to be orientated around an application for being a coach at BTEC, and I'm not going to specify the sport that you may need to be, so it's going to be a broad generic advert for a multi-sports coach at our college. Given that, you might need to be fairly versatile, or you can specify things around your preferred sport. So the first thing that you're going to have to do, and sort of an important task before we even start the specific learning for the first assignment, is you're going to do some research and you're going to construct an advert for this post. So you're going to come up with what would the roles and responsibilities be, and what would the person specification be? Who would they need to be? Would there be any qualifications they must have, or would essential or preferred ones that you might require them to, or that you'd appreciate them having? What experience would you want them to have? Perhaps to do this task, it's important to know where to look. So obviously Google's got all sorts of answers on it, but these are some key websites that might help you. So the National Career Service is really good at providing slightly more generic guidance on what sorts of things a sports coach or any other profession might require. So you could start by looking at the National Career Service. Similarly, there's a job search engine called Prospects, and again you'll find some more generic information. I've popped on the sites here to guide you as well. You might get some sense of the sorts of qualifications or CPD or professional development that you should be looking to have or develop or aspire to develop if you wish to be a sports coach. And this site is actually more where might you find jobs. So if you are a coach, where might you look to find jobs? So it could be that you look at some of these sources when you're looking for your job adverts to fulfill this task, because there's a starting point of information. You can obviously pause the video at those slides to have a closer look, but it also gives you a sense of some of the sites to look at. So what you need to do is you need to find at least 3 sports coaching job adverts, get a sense of the person spec, the job spec, or the descriptions for those 2 factors, anything else that's relevant about the post as well, so that you can construct your own job advert for the role at BTEC.